Chadwick Moore is a conservative writer. He's a gay conservative writer, and he's our guest tonight. And it's a pleasure to have you here, Chadwick. You're doing tremendous work out there, and thank you so much for joining us here.
It's great to be here, Bill. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It's my pleasure. Here's the thing about it. It seems to me, Chadwick, the left has a narrative, and the narrative essentially is we're going to divide the country up into tribes, and we're going to make sure that all these tribes attack the center, never each other. And so this is what gives us identity politics, and that's how the Democrats win elections when they do win elections. But people like you and Alfonso Rachel and Tammy Bruce and Antonia Okafor, people like that, people who are in these assigned minority groups, when people like you come out as conservatives, it has a tremendous power to destroy the narrative. Does that get you a lot of love on the left from the inclusive and tolerant left, the fact that you're off the reservation?
As if you have to ask the question.
It's a rhetorical question. I'll move on.
It's interesting. I was actually just thinking about this because from the left, and both people who I've known for 10, 15 years, former friends of mine, and everyone from that to strangers on the internet to just acquaintances I've known throughout my life. Since I came out conservative in February, the only thing they can say to me, the only two criticisms is, first, they say you're an Uncle Tom, you're a self-hating gay. They say that to any minority who leaves a Democrat plantation, which just doesn't mean anything. And the only thing they can say is you're just doing this for attention. That you don't really mean these things. You are seeking attention. You're in this for the money, whatever that means, which is so hilarious because there's such a mental block for them to actually believe that you believe in these things, that you are doing this because you are passionate about about conservative philosophy, about conservative principles, about making this country as good as it can be. They can't wrap their mind around the fact that could actually be it. They just think, well, you're a money grubber, you want attention, which is very funny. I've spent my entire life being a print journalist. There's a few things that print journalists like less than attention. We just like maybe seeing our name in print in the little byline. We never want to be the story. We want to tell the story. So it's interesting. They would think that everything that when I came out conservative, I had no idea what was going to happen to me. I didn't know if I would ever find a job again. I certainly didn't. I did get fired. I lost all my friends. I didn't think I would lose all my friends. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't think anyone would really notice. I thought I would maybe get trolled on the internet a bit. And as you said in your introduction, what I immediately found was that conservatives of all stripes really embrace people who are stereotypically not supposed to be with them, according to Democrat philosophy, who come over and stand up for them and dismantle this really destructive narrative that the left feeds on.
So you raise a point that I've heard many, many times from gay conservatives. There's a group of conservatives in Hollywood out here, and needless to say, there's a number of gay people in show business. And I have heard from 7 or 8 people, without exception, that coming out as gay to conservatives was just a non-event. But coming out as a conservative to gay people is a catastrophe. Do you think that's a fair analysis of how it worked for you?
100%, definitely. Coming out, I'm 34. I came out when I was 15 years old as gay. And even then, it just wasn't an issue. I didn't grow up in a big cosmopolitan city. Pretty probably, right-leaning place. It really wasn't a big deal. Maybe you'd have to deal with some bullying, whatever. I was always tough enough to not really care. Mm-hmm. Coming out as conservative, whether you're gay or not, is a different story. And I hear the same thing, and tons of gay conservatives I know say it's way harder to come out as a conservative in general than it was to come out as gay. You're right to point out the differences. It's social suicide if you're gay. And a lot of
perfect term. I've never heard that before, but that's a perfect term. It is. It's social suicide.
Yeah. And it's interesting because just sort of very, very unscientifically and anecdotally speaking, in my experience, gay people, it seems to me, are waking up in droves and are coming to the right in droves. And I have people reach out to me, it seems like every day, and I live in hyper lefty Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where there's a big gay population. I have people in this neighborhood reaching out to me almost on a daily basis to say, and they look like you'd expect a leftist to look like tattooed, they're artists, and they would say to me like, hey, I totally agree with you. This identity politics stuff, I don't get. I don't hate, they might not like Trump, but they'll be like, I don't hate him. I'm
Yeah.
so glad Hillary's in president. And then they also say, but I can't tell anyone, and nobody knows. Or they'll say, I did vote for Trump, but I can't tell anyone. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my friends. And I always say to those people, you're absolutely right. You can't tell anyone. I never advise them to come out because I know it will happen to them unless they're prepared for that, for the consequences.
Isn't that just perfect irony, though? I mean, almost perfect irony. The left has been telling gay Americans forever that it's the conservatives who just want to drag people behind trucks, down in the South, and that they're the horrible mortal enemy. And yet, every single person I've heard said it's absolutely night and day. I think it's got to do with the at least the modern conservative idea that we're all individuals. I've had a few people say, well, what do you think about gay people? My response is, well, which one are you talking about? Who are we talking about? The idea that this sexual orientation is the entire box, right? That's it. That's all. And so I know some great people who are gay. I know some terrible people who are gay. Which ones are we talking about? And treating people as individuals seems to be anathema to the left as they continue this spiral into this social justice vortex. Identity is everything, and personality and individuality essentially counts for nothing.
Right, and I've been saying for years that we'll have true equality when we can admit that gay people can be just as beastly as straight people, and that goes with the recent Kevin Spacey scandal this week. I think you're absolutely right, and for me at least, I think that my experience of sort of coming over to the right wasn't a sort of moment where I just said, "Aha, I'm with them." It was this long cascade of essentially things I thought I believed about the left tumbling like dominoes. And you could talk, just various talking points from the gender wage gap to Islam to this gender hysteria they're in to, whatever else. And for years, I've really hated the left. I just did not like the people. And that's not just the public figures, but just the people that were around me. I've just not liked these people. But when you are, especially when you're one of their victim people, one of their special people, you just sort of are there and you don't really feel like there's another option. And even if I complained to people about this, they would just say, well, yeah, even I know a lot of lefties who are like, God, yeah, these people are ridiculous. I hate the left. I hate the Democrat Party. But what are you going to do? Become a Republican? And the biggest lie that I believed in the final moment was that the right was worse than the left. That you may hate the left, but you definitely can't be on the right. Because these people are evil, these people are racist, these people are anti-intellectual, these people are, the scum of the earth, they're greedy, they hate poor people,
Yeah.
whatever. And I did, for the most part, even though I've always liked conservatives and right-wingers, I'm from Tennessee originally, I know these people, I did just believe that to affiliate with that side was to affiliate with those things. And I think there's so many people, black, gay, whatever, all these people in the left's victim class, who that's the situation for them. They roll their eyes at the left, they hate the left, but they truly believe that it's their only option.
Right.
And we have the media to thank for that mainly. The media still spreads all of this lies about racism, lies about hatred that is supposedly what conservatives are about.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think the words Republican and conservative have been so effectively demonized that people will say, well, it's precisely what you said. I can't stand the left, but I can't be one of those people. I talked with Dave Rubin about this subject, and we both decided that any real people of goodwill in this country could sit down and put together a platform that 85% of the American people, 90% of the American people would go for, without any question. So you're right. These terms are so loaded. And again, right, it's part of the irony of the whole situation where the left is basically saying, you don't want to go to the conservatives because they're gonna call you all these names, or they're going to treat you the way they treated homosexuals in the 40s, when in point of fact, it's precisely the other way around. And they can't seem to get it. But that's why I think people like you throw such a monkey wrench into the gears for them. They can't really process it. And can you tell us a little bit about just a couple specifics of the reactions that you've gotten when you came out as a conservative?
Sure, yeah. Thousands of people, and they continue to contact me, especially like that first couple weeks when I came out. I came out in a story I wrote for the New York Post, and I didn't expect really much of a response, as I said earlier, and it went immediately viral. And I had thousands of people messaging me And there was probably a lot of hate out there. There was so much love that I barely even saw any hate, you know? And it was mostly I was getting these emails from people that were several paragraphs long, telling me about their lives, telling me about their experiences, telling me about why they like conservatism, telling me about God and Jesus and not in this sort of like you're going to hell kind of a way, just telling me about their lives. And I would say, you know, from the people who contact me, it's probably about 50% conservatives from all walks of life, whether that's evangelical Christians, libertarians, you know, establishment Republicans, sort of Tea Partiers, and then the other 50% are disaffected Democrats who, as I was sort of saying earlier, just like, you know, I was at this cocktail party once and I said this one thing that was kind of nice about Trump and they broiled me. And like, I don't know what to do. I'm a moderate in my party and these people just taking over. I'm not a Republican, but I don't hate you guys. And I would say the worst thing that anyone has ever said to me, and this is the worst, and it is somebody emailed me and said, I'm a evangelical preacher in Texas. I'm a gun-owning straight white man. I own cattle. I don't agree with your lifestyle, but welcome to the party. Welcome home. I love you.
Well, that was the worst, huh?
I don't agree with your lifestyle is the worst thing I've heard, and which is not bad at all. I was thinking like, great, you know, not everyone should agree with it. And you know, Milo said things like this too. I think Milo said once he like got off in a truck stop in the middle of America in a dress or something, and someone came up to him and just said, I don't really agree with what you're doing here, but I still love you. And he's like, that's basically the worst thing a conservative has ever said to me, which is nothing bad, obviously. Leftists, on the other hand, I continue to get death threats. I continue to be called a Nazi, a racist, alt-right, white supremacist. You know, it's like these. And I used to, before I came out, I was editor at large for the two largest gay magazines in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, my reporting chops are there. I've covered all the biggest stories. I was pretty prominent in the gay community just for my reporting. There's not a thing about me that would suggest that there's anything racist or hateful about me. But as soon as you switch, they just think you become a different human being. It's like they don't understand who you are. Somebody's taken your brain out and replaced it with Adolf Hitler's or something. And it just doesn't make any sense. You know, I will say that and I think this is true with the gay community. I think this is true with a lot of the black community, is that the sort of like 15-20% that are the kind of most unhinged, the most radical activists, the most mentally unwell, do seize the microphone and they run to the front of the line and they dictate the narrative. And these are the people the cameras run to because they're absurd, ridiculous, and they're causing trouble. And the rest of the people are maybe like, yeah, we agree with them, but nobody really on their side is going to shut them up, mainly because they believe that these people are truly like victims and suffering and they have to look out for them. But it's, you know, I think you would probably agree with me on this, that still most people in this country are pretty moderate and they don't necessarily hate the other side. I think it's these fringes that run to the front and are really causing a lot of hatred in this country and misinformation.